Hello guys, this is Candy here, and in this tutorial, we're going to implement a not found page in Blazor and handle navigation fallback. Okay, so we want to implement navigation fallback in Blazor. Now, how can we do that? First of all, we'll have to look at some examples on how existing sites handle such kind of situation. This is the page that we want to create. This is an image and we want to create a 404 page, basically not found. If a route is not found, then we want to display this content to the user. Let's say this is the site. All right. So when we visit a valid route, what happens is our app loads. This is a GitHub pages website. What it does, it loads our site perfectly and we are able to use the app. Okay. But what happens if we enter an incorrect route? Let's do that. We entered an incorrect route, and this doesn't really matter, but let's just see what happens. As you can see, what happens is it returned us 404 error page. If we are going to open the network tab in inspect, okay, so let's see what happened. So server actually did not find that page, find that route, the route that we are requesting. And in response, it returns us an HTML. And if we're going to preview it, we can see that it's an HTML page. Now we want to implement something like this. If we are going to conceptualize it, it is something similar to this. What happens is a user makes a request for a page. It could be any page, a random page. If abc.html page exists, the random page that the user requested, if it exists, then what happens is the hosting environment looks for the page in Blazor apps static files, basically whatever the static files the server holds, and then in response, it returns the user that file. Yeah, but what happens if server does not have that file? Basically, Blazor apps static files does not contain abc.html. So what would server do in that scenario? So in that scenario, if abc.html does not exist, then hosting environment could be Azure Static Web App, it could be IIS, it could be EC2, whatever it is going to return a default response 404 page, 404.html. If we do not handle it in our application, it is going to be a default page like this one, right? What we need to do, we need to tell our hosting environment that our application knows how to handle routing. And the way we can do this is in the Blazor project, it should be in www.root, right? And we add a configuration file for the server. Remember that static web app.config.json is not for the Blazor, it is for the server. Okay. So here we are telling um, Azure Static Web App that we want the navigation fallback to be index.html. Basically, index.html knows how to handle if a route is not found. So that's what we are trying to tell Azure, Azure Static Web App. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna rewrite that URL to index.html. So let's see how it works once we made the change. And let's just first try if the route exists, what happens. Let's see. So you see, we get the site. But what happens if the route does not exist? All right. So we can see that our application is already handling this, which is the default error. Sorry, there is nothing at this address. In our application, we have app.razor file in our project directory. Here what we want to do is we want to add our own component, that is our not found error component, to be rendered on the on this page, right? We're gonna create component. It is a very simple component. We just named it not found.razor, right? And it contains not found text, right? As if we're going to hover on this one, we can see that this is ASP.NET Core component, which is part of the router. We want to place our custom component right here and get rid of this part. So as you can see that our content is getting displayed right here. Let's just push these changes and see if it is working on Azure Static Web App, right? We can just push it. All right, so you can see that our job is completed, the build and deploy job. And now we're gonna try it again. This is our site. This is the path that does not exist. And let's access it. And we're seeing that our application is handling not found path, right? So all we needed to do to tell uh, Azure, Azure Static Web App, that needs to rewrite the URL to index.html. This is the file that uh, we receive from the server, as you can see, when we try to access it. What it does is it sends us 200 response and it just sends us the index page, right? As we can see that this is the content of our index.html. And from here, Blazor app renders and it knows how to handle the route. And where do we define that? We defined it in App.razor file, right? Using a not found tag, and we're rendering a not found component inside it, right? So if a path is found, it is gonna render our page. If the path is not found, then it is gonna render our not found component. All right. So now what we gotta do is we gotta work on this component. Okay, so here is our not found component, and we also want a CSS file for it. Do Control Shift A and create a not found.razor.cs. Okay, so this is our uh, CSS CSS file. Before making any changes, write in the component. Instead of making changes here directly, what we're gonna do, we're gonna just uh, test our changes in a fresh document, in fresh index.html document, right? So it is gonna be much easier for us to do it like this, right? So this is our document. Let's go live, and we want title to be not found, right? So this is a not found page. Um, and we want our component to look something like this, right? So we have the blank page currently. We want a div section. So here we have a div, and let's look at the text we want. We want, okay, so also for better for better look, we're gonna get bootstrap quickly. Okay, so now we're just going to write the content of the component. So first we want paragraph, and here we wanna type. So we have our first text, which is page not found. We can see it right here as well. And here we have status code 404, right? And we're gonna call it class status code, not status code. And here we're gonna provide the formatting for this color, which is this one, right? We want the same color. And then we want the section below, which is another text. We're just gonna copy it, paste it here, and change the content. Now, what we can notice is the 404 text has an outline, kind of. The text has an outline which is white in color, and text is more like overlapping. First off, what we're gonna do, we must center this div. Okay, so we have here add a wrapper, copy, paste, add a wrapper, and class error content. Now here we have to do text align center, right? So the parent is error wrapper, we have error content inside it, and then we have some paragraphs which make our content something similar to this. Basically, we're gonna add margins to it. Say we want 404 to be a little more bigger, a lot more bigger, 200 pixels. Try that. Okay, it is big enough. Now with the margins, we can go about 300 pixels, I guess. Let's try that. We are gonna set it to the max size. What we're seeing, it is going out of the frame. So 200 pixels. It is still quite big. Let's just reduce it a bit more. Um, we might want to have this photo font a little smaller than this. Let's do that. Maybe 150 pixels. Okay, and we want it strong font weight. Let's go with bold. There is a bit of curve in this text, and it kind of ruins the feel, but we're gonna ignore it for now. We want the letter spacing to overlap, and for that, okay, it is much closer now. So there is a property called text stroke. Let's see that. Okay, so this is something similar to what we want. Let's get a custom font. even though these two might not look similar, but they're somewhat the same, right? So I think this is as far as we can get with this one. And we will have to maybe reduce the space between them. Okay, so we're gonna go to the status code and we want to reduce the gap between these. So if we're gonna check this out, this one status code has margin bottom, okay? So it only has margin bottom, which obviously we can something we can get rid of. So what is actually causing so much distance? Let's just check. Okay, so this p tag has margin and this p tag has margin. Instead of p, we can make them div. Let's do that. Div, div. And here as well, we're gonna make this div as well. Right, and this one has div as well. I'll go with something that looks more clean, right? And let's just see what happens when we are adjusting this screen size. Okay, by the way, let's see how other sites do it. This one has return to home link. Yeah, we can also do it something like this. Let's continue and place it on our web page. Okay, so we're gonna close this, close, close, close. Okay, so here we have, or discard this. Here we have our page. We want to place CSS here. Let, let's copy all this CSS, copy and paste. Right, so here we have our CSS. We want our fonts. Okay, so we're gonna go to index and after the title, we're gonna add our fonts. Okay, so we have added our fonts. We have this here, and now we want to copy this content error wrapper, copy it, and just paste it here, and just start our Blazor site. Okay, so let's try to access a non-existent path and see what happens. Okay, so here we have it. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. We just gonna we just have to flip the colors. All right. So because our background is dark, we want the color of text to be white. So let's just do that. Um, so we have the white color, and here too we want the white color. Yeah. Now we want the highlight to be black in color. And if we are gonna do this 0, 0, 0, here we have the highlight, which is now black in color. Okay, when we click on this, we're gonna go to our home page. There is one thing, and that is the color of the text that is kind of bothering me here. We're gonna pick this color right here, and okay, this color is looking good. This link should be like this only. Maybe we can make it red. On hover, it is looking fine. Yeah, I think we can just go with this. Yeah, so I don't think that it needs any more changes.